talk about SUVs, what comes to mind are those big, brawny vehicles such as the Land Cruiser, the G-Class, or even the Range Rovers. SUVs have always been massive, and wherever they go, they impose the road with their presence. Now, us Indians really love our SUVs, but these Land Cruisers and G-Classes are not to everybody's budget or taste. So, Indian automakers started shrinking the SUV and thus formed the mid-size SUV, compact SUV, sub 4-liter SUV market and more. In comparison to its rivals, Hyundai caters to an extensive customer base for SUVs in India. Did you know that Hyundai has a full range of SUVs in its portfolio in India and is covering nearly every SUV segment in India? But the one segment they weren't able to capture so far was the micro SUV segment. Yes, you heard me. There is a micro SUV segment and the only competition there was a Tata Punch. But now Hyundai wants a piece of that cake and they have introduced this, the all-new Hyundai Exter. Does it have the punch to take on the Tata Punch? That is what you're going to find out in our review today. Let's begin. Now before we begin, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends and also subscribe to Car and Bike, and while you're at it, press the bell notification as well. Now talking about the overall exterior design of the Hyundai Exter, while it shares its underpinnings with the Grand i10, when you look at it visually, you don't see much of the Grand i10. What you actually see is a nice boxy design that is famous with most big SUVs such as Range Rovers, G-Wagons, Land Cruisers. Now while it is not those SUVs and has quite humble beginnings, it does have quite a lot of unique elements as well, such as when you look at the LED DRLs, they are actually shaped in this H shape which is reminiscent for Hyundai. It also has the split LED headlights, and when you look at the grille, it is finished in piano black, and yes, it's right in the face, but it actually looks very nice because it makes the design look very interesting. What is not interesting is the fact that you have this fake skid plate and you have these fake rivets which, I don't know, just feels very plasticky. Also, now when you move to the side, the first thing that catches your eye is the fact that the 15-inch alloy wheels don't feel extremely small for the Hyundai Exter, because they are complemented by the fact that you have plastic cladding on the wheel arches that make it look quite massive and actually make it look quite attractive. When you look at the side as well, you will appreciate the fact that you have pretty large windows and don't make the interior feel claustrophobic. Also actually give the car a massive presence than its actual size. Now before we move to the back, the one design element I want to talk about is the rear door, and you see all of these designs that are there on the rear door. Well, it might seem excessive, but I know why Hyundai has done it, because it actually makes the car look wider than it is, and that is something that's very interesting about the design of the Exter. When you look at the side, the C-pillar actually, you have this parametric design just like you have in the grille as well, and this design has been carried forward slightly on the inside with the dashboard. Now when you look at the overall rear, again it's pretty upright, and you have these LED tail lights which are again finished in this H shape, and you also have this fake diffuser or fake skid plate with these fake rivets, which I get the fact that Hyundai wants to make it look like an SUV, but I feel it's going overboard with it. Why don't you let us know in the comments down below, what do you think, if this looks nice or if it's not your taste? Step inside the Hyundai Exter, and would it actually be a Hyundai if it was not feature loaded to the gills? This is no exception. In its top spec, guys, you get a sunroof. You get the fact that this 8-inch infotainment screen has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and inbuilt navigation. You also get a wireless charger. You also have a Type-C USB, a Type-A USB and a chilled glove box as well. You have a digital driver's display and no ventilated seats, but hey, can't complain. But all in all, very feature loaded. The new SUV features the infotainment with multi-language UI support, 10 regional and 2 international languages, and also a first in segment feature which is the ambient sounds of nature with 7 acoustic profiles. Also in the top spec Exter, Hyundai is offering its BlueLink technology with 60 plus connected features free for the first 3 years. Now when you talk about the actual space on the inside, it's just like the Grand i10. Now I am 6 feet tall and my driving position actually makes me sit quite comfortably in the car. But when I move to the back, I have a slight knee room issue but no headroom issue. Also commendable is the fact that yes, the plastics are not the best, but there are very unique elements such as, when you look at the dials, there is this paint that is just matched to the outside. Same as the fact for the AC vents. When you look at the overall interiors, it does feel like a Hyundai. There are a lot of plastic elements everywhere, but you have to remember the fact that this is not a very expensive car. So I'm not expecting soft touch leather or soft touch plastic everywhere. So for what it is, it's a pretty good deal. Now one very interesting thing about the Exter is the fact that you actually get an inbuilt dash cam in the top spec car, which actually records the outside of the car and the inside of the car. All you need to do is put a memory card in that and it will record most of your driving, unless you actually swap it yourself. That is very interesting, and that is something that I would recommend a lot of other manufacturers do in India as well. Now step inside the rear of the Exter and the cabin actually feels very airy. There is decent amount of shoulder room, very good headroom, and the knee room also isn't that bad. The only thing is that yes, my legs are slightly struggling to fit underneath the seat. Also, there is something very distinctive I noticed about the rear seats is the fact that it is slightly reclined to an extent where it makes you feel uncomfortable over long journeys, because when I sit like this, I am finding it a little too reclined. I would like to sit slightly upright. But because of the large windows and because of the fact that there is a lot of air in the cabin because of the large sunroof, the large windows, you don't feel claustrophobic even though the interiors are all black. But the seats are actually not finished in black. They have a nice element to it as well. Hyundai is offering a range of customization options for its customers to spec the interiors however they like. There are 3 interior seat colors, trim colors and seat piping colors to choose from. Also, the name Exter is embossed in the front seats and the fabric used on the seat is quite unique, and the steering wheel and the gear knob is wrapped in leather to make the interiors feel quite premium. So powering the Hyundai Exter is a 1.2 litre 4-cylinder engine that produces 82 bhp and 114 Nm of torque. It is mated to a 5-speed manual or a 5-speed AMT transmission. What's unique about this AMT transmission is the fact that it actually comes with paddle shifters, which is the first in this segment. So when you talk about the overall driving ergonomics and how it feels to drive, I am very impressed with the Hyundai Exter. Not only is the fact that it's very compact, so it actually feels pretty easy to drive when you're in the city or out on the highway, but it actually feels very planted when you're out on the highway as well. Another thing that I'm very impressed about this AMT transmission is the fact that I have been cruising at 70-80 out on the highway, and I don't feel any of those lags that AMT usually feel. Yes, when I do push the throttle, I have that certain lag that I feel, but that is only when I'm actually pushing the car, and when I'm actually cruising, I don't feel any of that lag. Also, when you actually want to change gears, you can just use these paddle shifts. Another certain USP is the fact that the braking and the suspension are on point. It actually brakes extremely well, and more importantly, unlike every other Hyundai, the suspension feels extremely planted, and no matter where you're cruising at 40 or 100 kilometers per hour, the car feels extremely planted to drive at, and it actually gives you more confidence when you're driving, and it doesn't feel like the road's gonna be going or you don't know what the wheels are doing at any given point. Now, one thing that we Indians are really gonna love is the fact that Hyundai claims that this gets 19.4 kmpl on the manual and 19.2 kmpl in the AMT guise. But that's not all. In its CNG guise, Hyundai states that this can produce nearly 27 kilometers per kilogram, which in the real world means a figure of around 20 to 25 kilometers per kilogram, which is very impressive. Another thing that's really going to attract a lot of buyers is the safety elements of the car. Hyundai claims that this car is extremely safe and offers 6 airbags across all variants, no matter what variant you buy, the base variant or the top spec variant. And other impressive fact is the fact that you actually have ABS, EBD, and you have vehicle stability program and hill hold assist, which actually make the car a whole lot safer when you're driving it. So in all, it actually feels pretty safe when you're driving it because one, it doesn't feel very wobbly, and you have the fact that there are a lot of safety mechanisms to keep you safe. Owing to the compact dimensions of the car, I am very impressed with the fact that the Exter does something extremely well. It actually feels very compact to drive, so when you're in the city, you're going to appreciate the fact that because of its compact dimensions and its small turning radius, you're actually able to maneuver this car very well. But when you actually sit inside, it doesn't feel extremely small and cramped. That is something I'm very impressed with, but on the outside it looks like an SUV, and on the inside it feels like an SUV, although it's actually the shape of a hatchback. That is something Hyundai has done extremely well, and that is something why I'm extremely impressed with the Hyundai Exter. And if you are looking to buy your next car, this should certainly be in your target when you're looking at the Punch or even the Citroen C3. So like I said at the start of the video, the micro SUV segment was primarily dominated by the Tata Punch, but now with the Hyundai Exter, things have gotten a lot more hotter, and yes, it is becoming a lot more interesting. Now with regards to pricing, Hyundai has priced this car from 6 lakhs to 10.10 lakh rupees, which yes, is quite a good price range, but makes it quite a pricey option for the car and the size that it is. But when you look at the features front, it actually has a lot of features on offer, such as the large sunroof, the fact that you get the 8-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and actually a lot of other things, which make it quite an interesting proposition. Let us know in the comments below if you prefer the Tata Punch, or if you prefer the Hyundai Exter, or if you want to see a video of us comparing them in the future. Until then, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Car and Bike. Thank you so much for watching.